Hey guys, my name is Ben and that's MP. Welcome to Yabá's boat tour.
We rebuilt this boat from the ground up and we haven't shown the final result yet. We are really aware that this boat tour is way long overdue. The thing is, when we launched Yabá, she was looking perfect on the outside, but inside, we didn't even have a toilet. We were using a bucket, so it was not ready to be shown yet. Time went passing by. We've been living aboard for 20 months now, and I realized that the boat will never really be ready. And if we wait for that day, this boat tour will never happen, and the only boat tour there is on the channel is the one we filmed 2 days before we started demolishing the whole thing down. And that was posted in December of 2020. Now, December 2025, after all the rebuild, it is about time.
Let me introduce to you Yabá. She is an 88-foot wooden schooner built in the northeast of Brazil. Her beam is 6 meters, and what's really cool, she only has a 90-centimeter draft, which means we can get into some places that other boats can't. Her sail rigging is a Bermuda rig mainsail with 3 furled head sails. We are now in the process of changing her sail rigging to having 2 gaff rigged sails in the middle. What I really like about her is that we have a solid wooden mast, actually 2 of them, going all the way from the top all the way down to the keel. Both masts are solid conduru wood, which is really typically used in these Brazilian schooners for their strength and their flexibility. Before, like originally, these type of boats were even used without standing rigging. They would just have their gaff rigs and just depend on the strength and the flexibility of the mast, which is really cool. So let's start with the highest deck over here. This is an area which we used to have covered with solar panels. One of the biggest and latest additions to the boat is this solar panel structure behind here. This is 4 panels of just over 500 watts, so over 2,000 watts total, which with this sun here in Brazil is more than enough. What's really cool about this roof is it's so big that when it rains, the rain just pours off the side. So what we ended up doing is adding a wooden batten all the way around and a little drain hole here, so you can actually collect loads of water when it rains. And if you're wondering what this bamboo is, it is a spinnaker pole. Well, we don't even have a spinnaker, but it holds out the genoa when we're going downwind. For now, this is the only boom we have on the boat, which is gonna change very, very soon because we are gonna add a second boom here to carry a second gaff rigged sail. This over here is the roof of the superstructure. Under here is the living areas. What's really cool about this area is that we can use it to strap everything down. When we're at the helm, it doesn't block our view forwards. Now, even when we have the boom, it's still going to be able to be strapped down. For example, here we have a kayak, which we use very, very frequently to go and walk the dogs, for example. We have our emergency tiller, which we can stick into the rudder, which you'll see in a little bit. We have our stand-up paddle and some spare wood over here. Moving forwards, we are at our foremast, which is the same type of wood as the main mast, conduru. Over here, you can see a nice little open area, which we can use when we're anchoring and so on. Over here is the bow locker, which is what we store a lot of things in, which you'll see in a little bit. This is one of my favorite parts of the boat, and this is what came with the boat when we got her. It's a Lofrance 2300 watt at 24 volts. It's really important to us as we carry 12 millimeter chain and a 50 kilo bruise. So whenever we anchor, or leave anchorage, this is a really, really big help to us. A lot of you are probably used to seeing this type of cleats to tie the lines onto. Very common over here in Brazil is you get a massive piece of wood like this, fasten it onto two of the stanchions, and you can use it to wrap line around. It's very, very strong. And by the way, I haven't told you guys what wood our boat is made out of, and it's mainly ash. So ash here, ash here, ash here. Very strong wood, durable, and nice to work with as well. We have 3 spare anchors at the moment. One over there, one here, and one aft. Now this one here is our emergency anchor. In any case, this is rigged so that if we're in a storm or in trouble, we just cut a rope. This drops down, and we have 200 meters of 1-inch road over here. So that is just in case of emergency.
And here behind me, we have the nets that go around the bowsprit. The biggest fantasy I had when we got the boat is that I'll be always lying there, tanning, reading a book, and to be honest, that never happens. This here is our bimini. I do think it looks a bit like a party hat on Yabá, but as Brazil is super sunny and super hot, every little bit of shade is always welcome. We spend most time aft at the lounge area, but whenever we want to be here with some more breeze, it's nice to have this shade.
A really cool advantage of this boat, because it is so big, we have massive, massive storage in our bow locker. So head down and I'll show you what this is all about. Welcome to our cozy little bow locker. We have built these little storage units just so we can like slide some little boxes in and out, which contain lots of paint, glue, sanding paper, all the kind of stuff you need to maintain a big wooden boat. We've got lots of our big stainless parts here, some spare life jackets, oars, extra dog food, of course, oils, anything that's really big and we use frequently or you just want to store comes here in the bow locker. Behind you guys is the anchor chain box, which carries 60 meters of our chain, which can be connected to another 200 meters of anchor road. And we also have the big electrical panel or the switches that power or that control the power of our windlass. One thing I want to highlight while we're in this bow locker is the battens that cover our boat's frames on the inside, all the way from here, all the way to the engine room. Why did we do this? When we bought the boat, it was just covered and it looked nice. However, when we started removing it all, it was a disaster. Absolutely everything was rotten. So this was our #1 decision, to not only be able to see how everything is going between the frames, with the frames, the planks, the caulking, and so on, but also the boat gets to air a lot better. Guys, here's a fun little fact. This used to be the living quarters of the deckhand or the marinheiro who used to take care of this boat. And if I'm not mistaken, it had a toilet, a shower, and a bed in here, so that the rest of the boat would be left over to the owners. So can you imagine yourself living in here? I don't know, not me, and that's why we kept it as a bow locker or storage area.
This is one of the things that I wanted to have ready before the boat tour, but oh well, these wires are gonna go through in a way better way very soon, hopefully. From here is where we get to control the boom of the mainsail. So this is our main sheet. And this is the one thing that made us buy this boat, if I'm being completely transparent. Because to be honest, a fun fact is that when we bought the boat, everything that's behind you, the living quarters, I wasn't a big fan of, but just because this area was so cool, I accepted that I didn't like the rest. Love it, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's fair to say that 90% of the time we are here, well, it depends on how much you spend sleeping, because we do sleep in the bedroom. To be fair, when it's hot, we do spend a couple of nights here, right? Like many. But most of the life on board happens here. Breeze, looking outside, under the shade, comfortable sofas. We just got them remade, well, just a couple of months ago. This new material is PVC, way more resistant to humidity and also dirt, because we live with dogs. It's just, I love this part. In the future, we are planning on having curtains here so we can be protected when it rains, or just hope to get good weather all of the time. And this is also a highlight, the Lazy Susan. One of the highlights, because a boat from Bahia, this region of Brazil, wouldn't be a boat from Bahia without this item, which has to be one of our favorite things. And this is life on a schooner baiana. Hello. Come in then.
MP said we spend a lot or most of our time here, which is true at anchor, but when we are sailing, it is also here. Even though the main sheet is controlled from over there, all the rest of the other 3 sails are controlled from here. They have sheets running all the way down the side of the boat, come through some pulleys here, we have the stoppers here, and only 1 winch. Now, it's not a regatta boat, it's quite slow, and it's slow when we tack. So what we do is we tighten 1 sail, and so on, then the next, and then the next. And it's not that much of a rush, and we really like how this system works. Every single bit under these benches is storage, which is amazing because this is very easy accessible. So you just take the cushion away and access whatever's underneath it. Now you might be wondering, or not, what this little thread over here is. So if MP, you and me swap, I'll show exactly what it is. We have a little portable projector, and when the sun goes down and there's a nice breeze over here in the summer, we can have movie night with some popcorn, which is amazing. And it looks like I need to clean this because I think the bugs like to sit on here and I just roll them flat. The last bit of exterior that we want to show you before heading inside, which is also a place where we spend a lot of our time. And that is this platform here. The reason we spend a lot of time here is this is the place where we spend barbecuing, which is the other 90% of time when we're not in that 90% over there. We wash the dogs here, we come up here when we finish our shops, we clean fish here, and speaking of fishing, when there is maybe some fishing, I fish from the back, which is super, super cool. On the platform is also where we store another spare anchor. This is only a 20 kilo one. We have 60 meters of rode with about 5 meters of chain. We use that when we like stern anchoring, often in Brazil when it's really, really hot. You just throw this one out and you get the breeze blowing in through the back of the boat. Also, we've got a big bag of charcoal here. I think we should use that very soon as well. The same company that did the solar panels is the one that built this beautiful stainless structure for us. We liked having this arm over here, so when we want to lift the dinghy, we can partially lift it like so, just to get it out of the water when we are not using it, or we can lift it completely all the way up to here, like see how far we still got to go when we go on a long sail. Over here, we also have our rudder, which is one of the most crucial parts of our boat. Now, this top part is only here to be able to put the tiller in. We can also store it, but we thought, why not store it over here where it's easily accessible? On this rudder, we have an external quadrant with Dyneema lines running all the way through a pulley system to the helm. Now, speaking of helm, this is the pilot house. The roof that we started this whole thing on goes all the way from these windows all the way back to those solar panels, so you have a bit of an idea. This is, I would also say, on top of that saloon area behind you, one of the reasons why we fell in love with Yabá. Just this wheel itself is beautiful. We have our 24-volt panel over here, all the switches, bilge pumps, a phone charger. We have another windlass controller here in case we want to control the anchor raising or lowering from here. Plotter, easy access to VHF radio and safety stuff, binoculars, compass. This is also where we like spending a lot of time. We don't have an autopilot yet, so this is where we spend absolutely all of our time while sailing. And now this is our autopilot over here, little string. Once you get the sails trimmed, this string gets you very, very far. This area here is also a bunch of storage, really easy storage while you're at the helm. Little storage boxes for like phone chargers and things you need, torches, headlamps, and so on. A bunch of storage over here. And this is also our workspace. So we have a little folding chair that we put here, and this is where all the editing happens. Well, all the editing, we might edit outside, we can edit here or downstairs inside. So really, really cool area. And if you're wondering how do you shut this boat? That's a good question. Good question, guys. We have a wooden door that slides all the way shut and seals everything. Right now, it's got these really cool little rail guards, so literally you just shut it and you can lock the boat like that. But Brazil is a very, very hot country, and if you shut this, it means it's going to get very, very, very hot inside. So what else did you have made just before launch? A gate that shuts exactly the same, except it lets a lot of air in and out. And if you come over here, you can see that the metal ugly gate is completely hidden behind this beautiful sunny ashwood and purple heart divider. This is also kind of a pride and joy of the rebuild. MP in Orlando spent a lot of time working on this. If you have a look in here, this entire panel was a 12-volt panel until MP took it all apart, turned it into a 24-volt panel, and everything until now has been working beautifully. And then when we shut it, we have this nice little piece of finishing that goes over the top. Didn't mention before, but we also have all the engine gauges over here, the RPM, the hours, starter battery voltage, battery bank voltage. There are temperature as well, pressure oil gearbox. We have a bunch of other gauges that the boat had initially here, rudder position. We also have waste, water, fuel, but we're still working on those. Still a work in progress. For now, we've got a little hose just to see where the level of diesel is, but we'll show that in a little bit. Before we move on, I want to just tell you one thing that I think every single boat should have, and that is a snorkel, a mask, and a very sharp knife, very easy at hand. In case you have a line stuck in the propeller or in the rudder or whatsoever, you can just literally grab it, put it on, and get the job done. So that is something that we will always have right here.
And I think now we are ready to go inside the part we have never shown.
The engine room or the front?
I was thinking the house.
Let's get the engine room done.
Okay.
Come down in here with me, nice and cozy. Over here in the engine room, of course, in the center, we have the engine. This is our reliable engine. This is a Mercedes 352A. It's a 6-cylinder diesel engine that comes from the old Brazilian trucks in the 70s. All the steering goes through these Dyneema cables, and we have 4 diesel tanks. 1, 2, and then over here, 3 and 4. 3 of them are connected. They're 220 liters each. And what's really cool about these is that they are also just a truck diesel tank. So if ever we need to maintain them or replace them, they fit through the hatch. And one thing about this engine, MP is the one that took the whole thing apart with the mechanic and put it all back together. How was that?
Fun, interesting, a lot of knowledge acquired.
So whenever there's an engine problem, MP is the one in this engine room while I go and just cross my legs and wait for her to solve any issues, which luckily we haven't had any so far.
To be honest, the whole idea of me working with the mechanic instead of Ben is because Ben already had a background. He owned a Defender, so you have to have a background of mechanics.
You need to be able to fix a car or diesel engines to get somewhere.
But I had zero, and I thought it was an amazing chance for me to get some knowledge, so whenever there is a problem, both of us can have, share our brain cells and make it work. So that's why I was the one that took over the engine work together with Elio, who was an amazing teacher. And for me, it was great for me to understand that it's not just an engine, there are many parts. That's why also we made it colorful for me to actually understand, okay, this is the block, this is filters for oil, this is filters for diesel, this is where water goes through, this is yellow, which means don't touch because it spins really fast. Don't touch anything that's yellow. We added those colors also for me to start to understand each part of the engine, and I'm very thankful for that experience, and I'm also very thankful that so far we didn't have any problems that put my experience to test, but I can say that I'm very happy that I did this.
And I'm very happy that you did it.
Until now, you've seen our boat, now you're gonna get to see our home. I mentioned previously that I didn't love the inside of Yabá when we got her, and the thing is that the layout was completely different. For example, right here, instead of having our galley, we had a toilet, and that part was completely closed.
Let's head downstairs and show the inside. First thing you notice when you come in is on your left you have some storage, which is awesome to use for plates, cutlery, mugs and so on. This is our most cozy room of the boat. When we arrived, this was all covered in plywood, which looks very nice, however holds a lot of that moist together, and as we had some water infiltration coming in from the roof, this was never treated and the plywood just kept hiding it and hiding it and hiding it until all the rot had spread and had caused a lot of issues. So we haven't done any fixes yet, but we have torn away all this plywood and taken out the floor of this head. This is going to be quite a big job because if you look at the size of the woods that I use on these boats, these are going to have to be replaced. We even had mushrooms growing in this room. That's how humid it was.
And I have to say, this is my favorite change that we did on the whole boat, because when someone's here cooking and the party is going out there in the lounge, we're still together. And also the place is just so much more airy and bright. I just really love this change. Also because we made the galley with this shape. When someone's cooking, someone else is sitting there, we are facing each other and talking. I just really think that we focus on this part of life, and I really like it. One thing we also changed about Yabá is that we eliminated propane gas from the boat. So our galley is completely electric. We mentioned a lot about it on our previous episode when we did the upgrade of our batteries, but our stove is induction, which is really cool, fast and just safer. Under here we have an oven, which is also an air fryer. Next to me we have our fridge, which was one of those luxurious things that we really gave ourselves the luxury to have, because fridges on boats are usually like a pit. They have to really find things there, and we're really happy with this. It's one of the things I love the most. Both of these drawers are a fridge, and then the freezer is hidden down here. Looking at the window, you might think the boat ends here, but actually we still have another meter of deck, so our storage is quite deep that way. We also have drawers here, doors there. Even here, this thickness of this double bulkhead that divides the house from the engine room, we transformed it in a little storage for condiments. Like every single spot that could become storage, I think we made sure it became. If you are a boat person, you already know, but if you're not, a fun thing about stoves on boats is that they move. This is on a gimbal, so whenever the boat's shaking, the pans won't fall. They'll stay upright. It will look like it is shaking, but we are the ones shaking while this stays up straight. Instead of going for the traditional double sink, we opted for going for one big sink instead, and we definitely do not regret it. It's so comfy to have this big space here, and it just works for us. The boat, it's still in progress. It is a work in progress. This pearl here, it's quite recent. I think it doesn't even have a month, so every month we make sure that something else is getting a little bit better, and I really like this one. As it's quite recent, I'm still in the in love phase. Here, I said, is my favorite change that we did on the boat, but on this side is my favorite statement piece, this table. I had envisioned a table with a manta ray for the longest time, and when we were working with Edilson, I told him that, and he was like, okay, I'm up for the challenge. And him together with Ben are the ones who made this beautiful piece, which I'm completely obsessed about. But of course, the table is not just beautiful, it's also functional. It drops down and it becomes an extra bed here. And of course, the whole sofa is storage, because everything that can be storage is storage. And when I say everything, I really mean everything, not just under is storage, but also behind it's storage. Like, there is a lot of storage everywhere. I have here all the blueprints of the boat showing the current one and also the previous one, and I think it's going to be interesting to show what changed. This is exactly how the boat is, so bow and aft. The galley is there now with this shape, but before here there was a toilet, and the galley was on this side here, but this was cupboard, washing machine, so we didn't have much surface for cooking on this side, at least for our taste. I don't think there is right or wrong when it comes to a home design, but for us, we chose to prioritize this area and make the rooms slightly smaller, because before the bow was one full presidential room.
This is cabin number 1. It has a massive double bed,
which was very spacious, and I did like it a lot. But now we have this area which we didn't have before, and we now have 2 rooms there instead. And I cannot ignore our little museum here. This wall, I know there is an empty space because we still are going to be collecting memories and moments, but every single thing here has a meaning for us. One of my favorites is this one. When we were rushing to launch Yabá, we had a board with our to-do list, and this splash
splash
was the last thing we had to remove, and of course I had to keep it. Also, that phrase, tudo aqui já foi sonho, it means everything here was once a dream, and that couldn't be more true. I won't ignore this one. When we reach 100,000 subscribers, we are so thankful to each one of you who made this history possible, so thank you. And this was us celebrating that moment. On this side of the sofa, the storage is focused on our battery bank. And here behind is all the electronics panel. We are 99% battery. We just showed this in more detail just a week ago, so if you want to see that, you can go back there. But this is what powers the whole thing of our boat. The 220 system, which is our galley, also our boiler, but also every single light, every single switch. This is where it all comes from. And in my opinion, a boat is not a boat without a library. And I cannot say which one is my favorite, because everything that made it here is my favorite. Of course, when you are sailing, you have a lot of time to become more intelligent, but I have to admit that we also use this one a lot, which is our TV. I really love that we don't have an actual TV on board. We have this screen here, we have the other screen outside, and just one projector that we move inside or outside. And the thing is that it doesn't work very well during daylight because it's too bright for the projector, but it's a good thing because when you live on the boat, you shouldn't be watching TV during the day anyway. So this, for me, 10 out of 10.
So what do you guys think of the first and almost main area of the interior? And one thing that MP didn't mention, which is one of my favorite things, is the moment you come down the stairs, you see this beautiful mast here, which I think is just the main piece of the entire area. And what's nice is it kind of creates narrower alleyways and stuff. So there's no big open space to allow you to fall, or you always have something to lean on when you're sailing. But let's move further forwards. Now, I'm just looking around, and I would also like to mention that these beams were just all covered with plywood, covered with formica on top. And that's something we took down completely as well, because all the plank, all the boat shifts, and you want to see and be able to inspect any seam or joint possible on the boat. Also, the lights we have here are thrifted from Bacon Sails in Annapolis. If you don't know Bacon Sails, I'm wearing the cap. If you don't know Bacon Sails, guys, that's like the the IKEA, you can go like the IKEA shopping, but for boaters of used and new products. Anyway, I would also like to mention that I'm not joking when I say 80 to 90% of all this wood is cut as from recycled wood. Like we just found the planks on the side of the shipyard, which came off old fishing boats and other schooners, planed it down, cut them to shape and put them all in place. Probably the only thing that is original from everything you're seeing here, except for the mast, is these roof beams and the planks. Above us, by the way, if you want a bit of a reference, is where the kayak and the stand-up paddle are on. All the rest was just completely stripped down to something that looked like Noah's Ark. It was just empty, and then we started building bit by bit based on this beautiful plan over here. Moving forwards to literally, this is a divider between communal spaces and living areas, so like bedrooms or cabins and heads. Now, one other thing that we did salvage is the frames of these doors. I think they are very nice, rounded, nautical shape, and we also salvaged all the doors and the hinges. Moving in, what do you think is one of the most important things to have on a boat? In my opinion, it's a good workspace. So that's what we have over here. It's just it's a cedar plywood piece of furniture. The top two shelves have the tiny compartments with screws, bits, and so on, and then they get bigger and bigger. So here we have every type of plier and wrench you can imagine. Then we go to all the drills and batteries, bigger tools, and then hammers. And then on the other side, we have other stuff, of course. Really nice. We've got a vise that we still need to find a nice place for. Lots of working space, lots and lots of plywood and spare pieces of, not even scraps. Scraps we don't keep anymore because they just keep building up storage. But these full pieces of plywood are really good to make extra shelves, coat hangers, and so on. This is a broomstick that I screwed onto the beams over here just to carry some coats, BCDs for diving, some wetsuits, very easy, quick access. And of course, if we do need to have if we have a very big project and we need all this space, we just take them down, put them on a bed. Also, I don't know if you've noticed how bright it is inside this boat. We have so many windows all around, also built from scrap wood, all these frames and everything. So yeah, this is one of my favorite places on the boat. We've kept everything quite narrow, quite high, but narrow so that you can walk around when you're sailing and not, you always have something to lean against. On top of us, we've got all the fishing gear. Now, at anchorage, we have the small fishing rods just to play around with it, and then we have some slightly bigger ones when we are offshore. This is a funny little thing that we hung up just on top of the tool area, the workshop, in case of emergency, break glass to summon the shipwrights. We had all the shipwrights on board for a Christmas lunch. What is that now? 2 years ago? Last year, no way. We had all of them hold it, bless this chisel, and then we put it in this frame. So we thought that was a fun idea. Anyway, let's move over to the rest of the boat because we have a lot to see still. So here on the starboard side, we have the workshop. If you come through here, we have the turtle room. This was a nice present that we got given by my mom. We painted it green and put it on this door to call it the turtle room. We have some, I forgot we had coat hangers on the other side. This is the first cabin of the boat. This is a double mattress. We decided to have double mattresses on the entire boat. Nothing nautical. We just think this fits really nicely. It's really good to sleep on, and we just make sure we flip it frequently enough so it doesn't get humid. Lots and lots of light, lots and lots of fresh air, and we have a big fan in each room as well. Not to mention all the storage. We've got massive storage down here. We've got a big, I'd call it a bedside table, and then we have more storage up here, which in our case now is our bed sheets and pillowcases. And I know lots of you are asking, when are we going to get married? When are we going to have babies? I do not have the answer for that, but this is where we'll have the nappy changing station. Moving past the workshop, here on the port side of this corridor, we have a massive world map. And it's not just any world map, it's a dive map, I guess. So you get all the biggest or the most popular dive spots in the world. Right now, we are down here in Angra dos Reis. I don't know, maybe we should just plan our next journeys based on this. That's some really cool diving spots. Anyway, let's continue. Here is, on the starboard side, if you come in here, is where we sit and think a lot. Now, this is the electric head on the boat. So you've got a little button here, and you flush. This is the main head, the main bathroom where everyone just brushes their teeth, goes to the loo, and behind here is our shower. And the funny thing is that when you're on the loo, you have a beautiful view of some inspiration to get you through the mission. That's about it for this head. We've made as much storage under this sink as possible, and also the holding tank we've managed to hide behind here in the shower, and this also does shut so it doesn't make a mess everywhere. Continuing past the head, you'll arrive in the second cabin. This is the guest cabin. Ours is the one next to here. Same mattress, double mattress, plenty of storage to hang clothes, lots of little pockets over here to put your things in, and we've left the space under the deck open so you can also chuck your bags in there whenever you come and visit. Just like I mentioned in the bow locker, all the frames are exposed, as in you can inspect everything. And that's for the entire boat. We wanted the plumbing and the electrics and the valves easily accessible, because living on a boat, you already have a lot of maintenance. This way, you could just make it a lot easier for yourself. And before we move on, I would like to just say what's under the floor here. There's not much space. It's about that much of ballast stones, tubes filled with ballast, and also our water tanks. We have a capacity of 1,000 liters of water. And it's very nice because you can lift each plank individually and have access to all the tanks, all the ballast, and inspect as much as you want.
And the whale room is our room, as whales are my favorite animal after dogs. And this is where Ben and I sleep. Here we have a standard size bed, just like a normal house one. We could have kept the presidential room here, and that would have been nice to have a very spacious room. But we chose to sacrifice our big room so everyone's room could be more comfortable, and also the common areas could be more comfortable. And the thing is, when we got the boat, we were not planning on making the whole layout new, but when they started removing the bulkheads, it was like, oh, this one's rotten, oh, this one has termites, oh, this one blah blah blah. And when we noticed, we had a full empty hole. Well, an empty, not full hole. And I asked, did you guys write down where the structural parts were? And they said, none of the bulkheads were structural. And I'm like, oh, so does that mean that we can change everything inside? Yeah, so that's why we got to this new layout with that main area that we showed you with the galley and the living room, and then this room that is half the size but double the coziness. One interesting thing that goes along the whole boat is this cedar plank here in the middle. That is where the wires go through. So if we ever need to install something new, we don't need to remove the whole walls. We can just, with this bit here, access the wires, the switches, and whatever else. And if you think this window is looking funny, it's because this, just like in the other room too, is an emergency escape hatch. So if there's ever any situation that we cannot go through the galley and go up those stairs, like a fire on the galley or something, we can just open here, unscrew this, and this opens completely outwards, so we can be out of here. Our room is the only ensuite, how you say it, on the boat. So this one has its own toilet right here. This one is manual, so the main one is electric, but ours is manual. If there's ever any problem with electricity, which we hope never, but we can still pump. This is a work in progress, as you can see, but we're getting there. And our sink is not even installed yet, but it will be one day, eventually. The whole plan with this room was to make it waterproof, so on this one we don't have access to the frames like in the others, but we can put a shower here and make everything wet and we will be fine. And just like many other things on the boat, they have a nice memory in my heart. Painting this here was crazy work, but my parents helped me, and I really like the result of having the checkered with all sea creatures. I think it's quite funky, but also fun and quirky, and it's one of my favorite things about the boat. Behind the open door of the room is where we keep our clothes, but I'm gonna give the right of not showing it because it might be a little bit messy. No.
You get to see.
Remember that storage is king when living on a boat. Under every single bed, we keep the whole world.
also not going to be shown.
Don't need to. And I think this is all there was to show of the home of Ben and P, Caio and Licky.
I hope you enjoyed the boat tour. It's taken us a long time to show you guys. I think maybe in 4 years we can do another one when we've upgraded the boat even more.
If you've seen everything that we went through to now be able to show this as our final piece of home, which is not final, it's still in progress, you know how much it means to us. It's not just a piece of wood, it's not just a room. Everything here has a memory for us, and I think that's what makes our reality today taste so much sweeter.
This boat is alive and we feel it. Our blood, sweat and tears and of those who helped us and supported us are in the seams, in the wood. So it is a nice feeling.
When we first got the boat, the previous owner told me that when you have a wooden boat specifically, you should always talk to her. And I thought he was crazy, and now I'm probably crazier because Yabá and I are like besties.
So if you want to see how practically anything on this entire boat was built, who built it and what was used, just go back into our previous videos. 4 years is worth 5 years worth of building.
Almost 300 videos showing how this went from nothing to
something.
Our everything. What do you say of a jump in the seat to celebrate? It's quite hot.
A jump in the seat sounds perfect. Ready?
Ready.